Is there any declaration of conflict of interest?
None.
None.
None? Okay. Adoption of minutes.
No,
Sure.
agenda. Approval of agenda?
Oh, sorry. Approval of agenda.
Yep.
Yes.
I'd just like to add one thing.
Yes.
Possible flower bed, Canot Square.
What was it again, sorry?
Flower
Possible
bed?
flower bed, Canot Square.
The hospital?
Possible.
Oh, possible, sorry.
Possible flower bed.
Is that under 5 or 6? Is it a verbal update or?
We don't do
Under
a,
six.
we don't do a flower bed in Rochester Square. She must want a new one.
No,
He's
not-
asking for-
No, Canot.
Yeah, he's asking
Whatever,
for a
okay.
possible flower bed.
I
So
have,
it'd be an additional item after business, it'd be under new
I have
business.
something too, Chair, I'd like to bring up about basketball nets at Skyview Park.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome, sir. You have that one too, Frank, please?
Is that D?
The only thing I'd be careful of, guys, is when these agendas go out to the public for an open session,
Yeah.
and it's listed what's on it, and all of a sudden we start talking about a whole lot of stuff that's not really an emergency or whatever, it's not gonna look too transparent. They're gonna think we kept it from them.
No, that's why we're live streamed, right? We're live streamed.
Yeah,
Correct.
we're live streamed, but we're adding stuff to the agenda that wasn't on it when it was advertised.
But that's why the approval of the agenda is there.
Yeah.
What, Kevin, what was it?
Basketball nets at Skyview Park.
Okay. Okay. Adoption of minutes. Mover, thank you, Kevin. Second, Terry?
Yeah.
Okay. Business arising?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Frank, I just wanted to ask, under the minutes from the last meeting, it was introduction of new business, 7C, neighborhood meetings. It states that its discussion was held around the proposed neighborhood meetings. The chair noted that he and the department staff do meet with residents. How many neighborhood meetings or meetings did you have since our last meeting?
Since our last meeting?
Well, since May 22nd, because that's when we spoke.
Yeah, well, May 22nd, whenever we were able to meet with individuals, we have had meetings, but initially there was restrictions around it.
Yeah.
So we've met with Volleyball PEI, we've met with,
But they're not neighborhood meetings.
no, they're not, they're meeting with, we didn't necessarily say neighborhood meetings, they're meeting with individual groups subject to certain interests, this kind of thing.
Right.
We haven't had neighborhood meetings here, and recently groups
Because of the
yeah,
COVID-19.
what's going on, yeah.
So is there any appetite, like, can we look at, as we go through this, over the next couple of months? I know it was mentioned at the council meeting the other night that, if we wanted to have a public meeting, we could look at going out to Cody Banks, provide the physical distancing, like for neighborhood meetings, we could look at some facility that would accommodate that.
I think when we talked about that, there was planning issues coming up, and I know there was a big one coming to my area,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be able to have a meeting that people can't attend. So the idea was, can we go to the rinks or whatever, but I don't think you want to start doing it yet. Go with
No,
the-
again, Councilman Bernard, I'm just looking down the road, just
Okay,
keep
okay.
that on the agenda. No, nothing immediate, sir.
Okay.
No.
okay.
I know what we're talking about is planning meetings, we want to provide that space
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
we don't get caught up like we are with UPEI's, student residents.
Right.
It's being appealed because we didn't, the appellant doesn't feel that we used proper process to consult the public. Oh, no, I understand that, just want to keep a radar on it.
Okay.
Thanks, Frank.
Any other business arising? Okay. I want to welcome Councilor Atlanta.
Thank you.
Representative from Ward 1, to the meeting. Please feel free to stay for the duration of the meeting. And please feel free to participate.
Thank you.
We welcome your input. I want to welcome Jackie McKinnon back.
Glad to have her back.
Let's get Jackie nice round of applause.
Where's the banner? We just had a banner. Welcome back.
Jackie, it hasn't been the same without you.
Oh, Jackie, we missed you, Jackie.
I well believe that.
We missed you, Jackie. We missed you. But we'll never get over
Just be a
that.
number.
What's that?
I'll just be a number like the chair.
I'll never get over, Jackie, years ago when you, life safety code, when you put that in action.
Thank you, Jack.
We'll never
Glad to
forgive you
see
for that, Jackie. Never forgive you for that.
Now,
But anyway,
agenda.
Jackie, we're glad, sincerely, we're glad you're back. Okay. A, verbal update and follow-up discussion on security patrol in Victoria Park. Frank?
All right, well, that was something you'd wanted on the agenda, but just the fact that we did discuss it at our last meeting, and that, what the cost would be if you increase the park patrol at Victoria Park, and I know it was noted at last council as well. So, I guess it's just open for discussion. I know that it was going to be looked at finance. I'm not sure if it was discussed or not, but it would be additional dollars, and it was anticipated it would be in the range of, if it had started back in June or whatever it was, 1st of June, it was going to be in the range of $15,000 to extend it for 3 more days.
Yeah.
So have it go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Now it's in the evenings right now, and it fluctuates, as I mentioned at the council meeting. It either starts at 7 or 8, depending on the evening. We don't have it start at the same time, so people aren't exactly, and then it goes to 1 or 2 at night. Really what it's geared for is to actually deal with people that are hanging around in the park when they shouldn't be, vandalism issues, dealing with some, people congregating, gathering where they shouldn't be, and being asked to move on and those kind of things. So that is sort of what they are, or that's what they do. And if they're there and they see someone in breach of a bylaw or whatnot, they do inform, no smoking, that kind of thing, please move on. And that hasn't been, like, when they tell someone to stop, they stop and they move on. They will call police if they need to, and there has been a few incidents which you'll see in the Park Patrol report that they have called the police on incidents that required police attention. So it's just up to, if committee wanted to look at increasing it, there is a cost associated with it, and you have to weigh is the balance of plus, the pros and cons for it.
Thank you, Frank. I can tell you that one of the major issues that we're having a problem with is the violation of the smoking bylaw in Victoria Park. I'm sure it's taking place in other parks as well. But we do have a bylaw, and people are taking liberty with smoking in the park, in Victoria Park, all hours of the day, 7 days a week, and at different venues in the park. So enforcement is an issue. We're not able to enforce it. Heard from our citizens that are not very pleased with people that are smoking in the park. So I know we did enlist in the communication strategy previously. I don't know if that really worked. It might have worked to some extent, but I'm a strong proponent of security in the park 7 days a week. Actually, I'd even go 7 days a week, all day. If you look at Victoria Park, as we all know, it's not a neighborhood park, it's not a district park, it's not a regional park. I would classify it as a national park. Some would say a provincial park, but nonetheless, there's thousands and thousands of people in that park on a daily basis, for whatever reasons, whether it's to play baseball. We have a strong contingent with the skateboarders, not skateboarders, but
Skateboard park.
pardon me?
Skateboard park.
Yeah, skateboard park. We have a strong contingent down there. Our playground is full of families and children. Pool is full, even with the culvert 19. It's well utilized. People are sitting on the benches. They're using the boardwalks. They're on the floating dock. They're everywhere in the park. So I think it's something we got to take a very, very serious look at. And I think last month, Frank, did we not send this off to finance? Did we not do that, Terry? I thought we did, or maybe I'm wrong.
It was our last meeting, we discussed it, and that it would be, brought
I
up
don't
to
recall.
finance. And I don't know whether,
I don't recall come to finance.
yeah, and I don't know whether there was, what's that? Sorry, I don't know whether it was discussed at finance. I know I mentioned it to them, but I know that they have a busy agendas as well, so I'm not sure if it was discussed or not.
I don't remember it being on the agenda.
No.
Okay, well, maybe, Kevin?
I have a question, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Frank, for that report. You stated the security starts either 7 or 8 in the evening
Yeah.
to 2.
Yeah.
What's stopping it from going, let's say, 4 to 12, 4 in the afternoon to probably 12 at night? Is there much activity after 12 that you need them there to 2? You know, I'm just saying, you know, because that gives us a couple hours before, you know, just before supper, and then they're there.
Yeah, I can chat with Nancy to see
Yeah.
what kind of thing, but I know that has been when the really inappropriate activities have been taking place after midnight.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's where reason why we had extended, that's just why we work it back and forth. If we find there's nothing really happening after 1, then we might move them up earlier and vice versa. So it just allows us that flexibility, but I can chat with Nancy and see if there is a bit that we could maybe move it up, coming into the park a little earlier.
Just for my 2 cents on it, I think there's a couple issues that I have with it. One, I think, Frank, whenever we set up the security in the first place, it was for what you said, graffiti and things that go on after hours. I'm a little hesitant right now to put more money into security, to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because as I hear now, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that's usually the busy times when things go on. I mean, the park's always full, especially during the summer, so nothing's changed this year as far as park capacity. The issues that I have always understood are usually in the evening. So now, I know Councilor Yankoff brought up the last public meeting about smokers, and I think there might have been a couple other things in there, smokers and the other issues you brought up.
Oh, yeah, smoking on the
Right.
dock and,
Showers at Simmons.
And motorized bikes.
Okay, but it's, so as far as,
Motorized.
yeah, it was the powered
oh,
bikes.
the powerized.
Yeah.
the
So,
powerized.
to me, that's different security. So, these security guards that we hire right now, they can't issue tickets. They can't issue tickets for smoking, they can't issue tickets. All they can do is call the police to issue a ticket. So, to put on 3 more days a week is just a waste of money, is what I can say. Unless you get the proper security involved. And I think 2 things. One, the park is owned by the provincial government,
right.
whether people know it or not. We don't own it.
We just
We're the caretaker. So if we need security, then maybe we need to talk to the province to see if they'll help pay for it. Because we're just a caretaker of Victoria Park. Which is why there's bylaws, which is why what the Victoria Park bylaw was required when we took over the park. So we pay $42,000 a year now for security. Half of that goes to Victoria Park, so we're 20 grand now. To add another 15,000, you're going up to $70,000. Well, we might as well hire another 2 more police officers
That's right.
and police it, or property, do foot patrols and police the property,
Or bicycle.
or bicycle, whatever. I think that can be included in the downtown core. We talked about it before. I know, you know, there was a long time ago in Hillsborough Park when we would hire our own security. And then that went from that to the police, and I mentioned here at our meeting we had where they did bike patrols throughout Hillsborough Park. Just the fact that the residents could see the police, know the police presence was there, made a big difference. And I think you can tie that in with the downtown core. You could tie it in with other communities, but for Victoria Park to go through there day and night on the bikes, on foot patrol, and incorporate that with the downtown as part of the cycle, I think you're much farther ahead.
Well,
I just think it's money better spent. To throw money at a problem but actually don't see any results, to me, doesn't make any sense.
well, you raise an interesting point. I don't disagree with you. I would personally like to have a couple of dedicated police officers in Victoria Park. I agree with that, you know, fully. And this is no disrespect to security, or the security we've had in the past. They've done what they were mandated to do, and I'm sure they've done it to the best of their ability. But, you know, police officers patrolling Victoria Park certainly carries much more of a presence. Because there are things going on during the day, things that I don't really want to discuss, things that are happening in broad daylight that that are not good situations. I mean, we have a lot of families, we have a lot of children, a lot of kids that are down in Victoria Park, and,
Yeah.
you know, so, I think, maybe what we'll do is, ask to put this on a committee of the whole, so that all members of council can have this discussion. And, maybe that's the best solution, is to make a transition into, 2 full-time, police officers, in Victoria Park. And, you know, biking's one thing. I'd like to see them, Terry, on foot. That way they're walking through the woods,
But they can do that on bike.
yeah, they can, but,
But anyway,
That's-
that's the details. I mean,
Yeah.
the other thing is, that I'm concerned about is, we all have parks in our areas, and we all gotta be cognizant that there's still issues in our parks.
well, there's no question
And
about
and
it.
the security that we have that's hard now, it's basically a drive around.
Yeah,
And if they see something, well, they try and get to move on. But I don't feel they're hitting all the parks. They're only hitting if they're told. If there's a
Sorry?
hot spot, if there's a hot spot there,
yeah,
and they're notified
yeah,
by the department,
yeah.
then they'll check on that. And I'm not sure that all the parks are getting the
Well, they don't get hit every night. I think, what do they do, half, Frank? One night and the other half the next night?
There is a range, and we we do have locations they hit that are busier, that have a lot of users, so they hit those multiple times throughout the evening. But they do try to. I don't believe they hit every park every single night, but they try to hit them all throughout a period.
But when you say they hit the park, Frank, do they actually go in, or do they just drive by and don't see anything and keep going?
It depends on the park. It depends
Well,
on the park. If
So
you
they
look
can't
at-
see very well, they will get out and go check?
No,
Yeah,
what they
potentially they will, 'cause
what
they
they
have to
do,
use
Terry,
it.
they take their phone or whatever, and they go up to some device,
Yeah.
and they'll show it, and then it's recorded that they were there, and then they get back in the car and then they leave.
What's that do?
I have no idea.
It's a tracking. It's
Yeah,
a tracking
that's all
system
that
for
is.
us to
That's not
actually know.
surveillance.
Just to know they were
to know they were there. We have that at our large locations, and we have other ones that are spread out. But yeah,
So-
it's a bit of a system. We have over 100 parks and recreation
So-
properties, so it's
So
I thought it was 150.
as I said, over 100.
150 or one over 100? What is it?
I can't give you the exact number. It's on the city's website.
So-
I guess.
So Frank, when they visit a park, is there a report given of every park they visited, that either there's nothing going on, or this went on, or they only write a report if something's happening?
They usually only wrote a report. If
So, you know, that's another valid point. Again, it's not a criticism, I mean, it's just an objective observation, that, you know what, Terry, you drive up, regardless of what the park is, whether it's a neighborhood park, district park, whatever the case may be, they get out, have this gadget here, and then, I don't know, they flash it up to some device that's on a post or something, and then take a look around, jump in the car and then leave.
Well, I'm thinking, when I say that, I'm thinking more like Andrews Court Park, for example, that's surrounded by residential homes.
Right.
So you can drive around, but you're not going to see anybody in it. You're going to have to get out of your car, walk in, behind the homes to see.
Well, you could say the same thing, down in,
No, I'm just using that as an example. I'm sure there's others, and that's why I want,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's others. I
You could
use that
say,
as an
well,
example.
Queen Elizabeth Park, that's another one, where, you know, kids like to gather sometimes in the evenings. I know in the past, I'm not saying it's happening now, but, you know, a few beers.
It's very good right now, because
Pardon me?
years ago, like, they're burning people's picnic tables and everything.
Yeah,
So my point is, out of the 42,000 that we pay now, 20,000 goes towards that.
yeah,
So
Goes
the
towards
point
what,
is,
Victoria
you don't
Park?
want to lose
Yes.
the money altogether to put towards 2 new police officers just to do Victoria Park. And then the rest of the parks don't have security. So it needs to be talked about.
well, okay, I don't disagree with you. If you're gonna have,
Jingle bells.
you know, if you're gonna have security in the other parks too, I mean, we have to look at what type of security we're gonna
Yep.
have. But I think we'll all agree, I wanna go back to Victoria Park for a minute. I think we'll all agree that, once again, Victoria Park, it's not a neighborhood park, it's not a district park or a regional park. For all intents and purposes, it equates a national park or a provincial park. And if you look at all the amenities that are in that park, I mean, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on, and we've had.
It's a provincial park.
Yeah, well, provincial or national.
It's just it's under the
Yeah.
care of the city.
Well,
That's why.
well, we do the maintenance.
And care.
We provide programs.
caretaker,
We bring in new features to the park.
We're able to use the land for our uses as long as it meets.
We're responsible,
Yeah,
but we
we're
are responsible. So, I think
So,
what,
just a comment there, just regards to
Sure.
your worship, with regards to the number of parks. It's in the range that we look at is 80 that we do. We don't do all our like green space properties.
No,
we do
so
different things.
green
So-
spaces and parks, about 150. That's what it is on the website.
Yeah, but what we do is we do the parks and the recreation areas. So it's where we have infrastructure, where we have a lot of users. Like spaces where we don't have a whole lot, we don't do that. But the actual citywide one, it ends up being 8 hours an evening. They do it for, and I'm not 100% sure what time they come on it, but possibly if I was
Yeah.
4 o'clock. But so they go around to locations, but they have a lot to hit.
Councillor, I've been trying to ask a question.
go ahead.
Frank, I know it's under reports, but we're going to get a security patrol June summary report from you, right?
Yes, it's under there.
Okay, then there's a verbal, under D, verbal discussion on enforcement strategy, smoke-free. So that's going to come up, right?
Those are the
Because when we started this discussion, it was about smoking in the park.
Oh, it's more than that.
No,
But I know, and it's
More than
evolved
that.
into other issues. But you got security, we have a police force, we have parks. Again, here we are working in these silos, and I believe that we have to look at the whole issue as not just one park, but all our parks and all public spaces. So I think this needs a greater discussion between police and protective services, Victoria, Parks and Recreation, and what other department would you throw in there? Administration? Like, I think, like, guys, we keep coming back to this every year. This is my second year, and this is, again, back on the agenda. You know,
Well, it's back in the agenda for a number of reasons. The residents that are down in that park, using that park, are airing their concerns.
yeah,
Okay, they're airing their concerns. And no disrespect to the Charlottetown Police Department. The Charlottetown Police, as it stands right now, are not getting out of the cars and walking through the park. They'll drive through, might drive through 2 or 3 times, but they're not getting out of the cars. So to say, well, we're gonna have the Charlottetown Police patrol Victoria Park, that's...
well, they've done it in the past.
What?
They've done it in the
No,
past.
no.
But I can't,
no,
well, I didn't finish my point there. I was just
Okay,
trying to finish
okay,
up.
go ahead.
But I know the other night, there was the Desbrizay Park meeting where residents from that area came together to say, look, we need more police presence. And guess what they said? No to defunding the police, which we've already said. And they've asked for more resources to look at patrolling our streets. So, you know what? We got it. We have situations on the streets, we have situations in our neighborhoods, in our parks. Let's try to put it, let me just finish there, sir.
Yeah.
Just put it together in a package so that we can look at the whole multifaceted issue that's
Yeah.
connected to this request for more funding.
Okay.
Like,
I think that's a good idea. I think that we look at the whole thing.
But
we have to look at the whole
Yeah,
thing.
I understand that, okay?
Yes.
But this is Parks and Recreation.
Yes.
Okay? We need resources.
Yes.
Like Victoria Park that are totally dedicated to Victoria Park. You can't have them say, well, only here for a couple hours and they're off to Mulberry Park, for example, okay? Like I said, there's thousands and thousands of people in Victoria Park all hours of the day. If you go down there right now, that park is going.
Yep.
It's full. There's a lot going on. Tennis courts are going.
Yeah.
There's minor ball, there's people in the swimming
But
pool.
right now, today, what policing issue would you need? 12:30 in the afternoon.
What? I'll tell you in confidence afterwards. I don't want to say it here. All right?
Okay.
I will tell you. So I do like the idea of having 2 dedicated police officers in Victoria Park. And that way, as you pointed out there, they'll be able to hand out tickets, whether it's smoking violations, those bikes, Lana, that are, those motorized bikes that are going through the active transportation lane, which they have no business being in, and some other illegal activities, and then also address the vandalism concerns as well. So maybe Frank, you can do up a little bit of a report for our next meeting, and
But just if I can add to that.
Yeah.
When we talked about this before.
Yeah,
the
here at
police-
this committee? At this committee? Or
Yeah.
other, yeah.
Yeah, we had the police in last year, and they talked about putting up cameras, which I still think is a good idea.
didn't want to do it.
Although they made the suggestion.
No?
Yeah,
No?
They were okay with it.
Yeah.
They were?
The
Yeah.
police were okay with it. With someone else who wasn't okay with it, but.
Okay. All right.
I think that,
Somebody
I
wasn't
think you might
okay
want
with
to
it.
talk about that, because, I mean, you put some cameras up around the pool area, put
Yeah,
some
but-
cameras around some hot spots, and,
We-
you know,
but you
I
know what-
realize resources are stretched too,
But
but
you know
that
what,
would,
Terry? We got cameras all over the city, and sometimes I have to question whether or not it's actually working.
I asked that question for you, they are working.
What?
I asked that question for you at police.
Yeah?
And they are
They're working, are they?
Yeah. But Councillor Tweed, again, a dedicated 2 officers for 1 park, and we have, what, Frank? 80 parks, and total 150 green spaces and parks, and we have 2 dedicated police officers. So those police officers would be for 8 hours or 12-hour shifts. What are their shifts? 12 hours. So for 12 hours, we'd have every day, and then is that 5 days, 7 days? Like, guys, you have to look at what we're talking about here. You know,
No,
and
that's what
do
we're
a, do, but could
Oh, sorry.
I just do a cost analysis? Police protection vis-à-vis security protection, there's a big difference in cost. And Councilor Bernard, if I was to talk about this in a holistic way, it would be parks, police and protective services, and finance and properties. That should be part of the discussion.
well, if I could just go back to the cameras.
Yeah, that's a good idea too.
I inquired in Hillsborough Park on Patterson Drive and the community center. And there was a lot of people apparently not running, or not stop the stop sign. So they set a car out, but they also sent me the info from the camera. And it showed heading north, 1,032 cars went through the stop sign. And it showed, I believe it was 11 that didn't stop. Going south, it had 980 some cars, and it showed how many didn't stop. And from the west, how many cars, how many didn't stop.
Yep.
It also was able to get the license plate, and they can get a hold of the person that went through the stop sign. So there's a lot of good information that comes with the cameras. And I mean,
But
the
they
new,
don't use it for traffic enforcement.
well, but they just updated their comms office there with all those new
Plus,
cameras.
they've
now, because
updated
we have so many
software.
cameras.
We're updating
It's got the
software.
bigger TV so they can see more of the cameras. But don't forget, you know, it's not meant to have somebody sit in front of there and looking for somebody to break the law. They can always go back. If something happened, car accident or something happened, they can go back to that camera, they can get what they need. One of the things on the cameras that I'm talking about is sometimes, you know, people will complain about certain things happening. And the police can gather, you know, depending what that is that's happening, the police can get the evidence from the camera. Or 2, it gives them an indication of when it happened, so they know when to set up security, and how often it happens. So it makes their job a lot easier for the resources they have. They may say, you know what, we can do that within our resources. We know now that this is the times this happens.
Right.
So I think, like, to me, I've always been a supporter of the cameras, because it tells the truth. Plus, it provides a lot of data.
Well, like I said, we had discussions, I remember with the previous council, they were putting up cameras, and Frank, I don't know who said no, but we had those discussions and it didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't get the approval of our committee at the time.
Not last year. We didn't discuss it last year.
No, it was back in 2018
Yeah.
or 2017, whenever the last,
Right.
the last committee before this council.
Right.
I mean, we can go on with this.
Here's another one here. Here's another one I got data on. I don't say where this intersection is, but anyway. Stats 4, and it was between the hours of 8 and 4 on June the 2nd. Total vehicles through the intersection, 793. Total fail to stop, 68. Percent to fail to stop the stop sign, 11.6%. Breakdown of the vehicles, 333. And the fail to stop the stop sign was 52. These are different data from different cameras. So this helps them to deploy their police officers in areas that
Yeah.
they feel is a problem. Like, so I don't want to get off track too much here, but I do think that
Okay.
we just need to have a conversation on security and policing overall.
Yeah.
Not just Victoria Park, all the parks, and speeding in the street, stuff like that. We need to have that conversation, but then what's the best way to resolve it?
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll, but again, our aim and objective here at Parks and Rec is security for the
Safety and
parks.
security.
So, we'll come up with, some kind of a proposal. So, next item, verbal update and the estimate cost to construct a splash pad. Okay, where's this coming from?
discussed it there at the capital meeting 2 months ago.
At the what?
Or when we were talking about the capital budget at the Parks and Recreation meeting 2 months ago. And I gave him some numbers from Williams McLeod when they did the splash pad out at Victoria Park. Should be in the minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, Terry, when we did capital projects, anyway,
What's the number, Frank?
So all I was asked to do is collecting some research,
Yeah.
research on it, some background information, and it's we're just trying to get an idea. It's not in the capital budget, but
Right.
it's something that
Could come up.
the worship was asked
Yeah.
to just to collect some information, just so we have an idea. It's not, I guess initially when the one was built in Victoria Park, it was a certain number, and it was probably more than what they anticipated at the time. So what I did is I just sort of, and it's still a work in progress trying to collect the information, but
Yeah.
Victoria Park splash pad, it has 4 features. So it has, the rainbow sprinkler, the giant flower sprinkler, and it has 2 ground-based fountains that come up, and a sensor. That was constructed in 2001, range kind of thing, and I think it might have been started in 2000.
It was started in 2000.
But it was finished in 2001, and the cost of that, and trying to find all the information that's near 20 years ago, having a hard time, and it was a partnership with the Kiwanis Dairy Bar.
Yeah.
But Coles estimated that the cost, they were involved with the design, that it would cost about $85,000
What did it
at the
cost?
time. What's
20
that?
years ago?
Yeah, what did it cost?
I haven't been able to confirm all.
No, I sent you from Rodney.
That was the contract to do the construction work, the actual concrete work.
Yeah.
But that doesn't include Coles expenses, that doesn't include the cost of the actual water features, like the rainbow sprinkler, the giant flower, and those
The
things.
apparatus that went with the.
That went with it, those were on top of that. So, like I said, it's estimated, I can't find all the receipts of
80,000.
85,000.
Are you saying now 85 or 20
No,
years?
that was back in 2001.
Yeah.
So that gives you an idea of a starting point. We went and sort of looked at someone that did one recently here
Yes.
in Charlottetown, or in the Charlottetown area, which was Stratford.
Yes.
And confirming with them, that was a process that probably took in the range of, looking at when it started, 3 to 5 years from start to finish.
Yes.
Because they were the same thing. They had a certain amount of budget at the time, didn't even come close. They started off the budget at 100,000, and that would hardly buy the actual features.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, when I was speaking with the staff person over there, they were the same thing. They don't have necessarily all the dollars confirmed. They weren't able to confirm 100%, but they said it was in the range of $200,000 to $250,000 to construct that splash pad over there.
Do you have the figures? Did you get the numbers, or just, that was total of the phone?
That was total of the phone. They sent me some figures, but the individual that was involved with constructing the project is not there, so it was just to find all the financials. Sometimes they get charged to a
$250,000.
What's that?
$250,000.
$200,000 to $250,000, yes. So
That's what I expected.
So what they are, it's the biggest things people don't realize, the features that you buy, like your rainbow or your water sprinklers, those kind of things, that is one cost you buy from your actual water. What are the company there, Christopher, that you can buy those water features? Maybe it's playgrounds you buy them from, like these companies, you buy those features. Then you get an engineer to actually design a pad with those features. Then you go to the tender and you actually construct it. There's also the cost of actually hooking up to your water supply system.
Oh, so that's not included in the $250,000?
That one there, they figure that does include the cost of
Okay.
hooking up to it.
Okay.
So that was the whole thing. There was some things that the town covered through other funds. And then it also, they wanted to go with a system that recirculated the water.
I think you have to now.
Well, but they didn't, because the cost was going to increase
Jump
dramatically.
again?
Yeah, jump dramatically again,
Like up to $500,000?
potentially. So this.
You're serious?
Well,
Do you have, like, there must be other municipalities around this country that have splash pads with recyclable water that we can get a cost comparison.
yeah. So we're in the process here. So I just trying to give you an overview kind of thing.
Okay.
So allow me to collect all the information. It's not as easy just going out and asking somebody kind of thing. So there's different systems. It depends on where you're connected to.
Okay.
With some places they will actually have a well system, but then you have to actually filter your well system. You have it. That's what we do with our sports fields. The city of St. John in New Brunswick has just constructed 3 splash pads.
Yeah.
Their 3 splash pads cost, my understanding is, and I haven't seen exactly, I I've seen it to report, $1.5 million.
For
I don't
three.
know I don't know what they used, if it's circulated to,
Everything I've been told
system.
for a splash pad, depending on the size, is between $250,000 and $300,000.
Yeah, but it all depends, and that's
And
not
I thought they
including,
said you had to have recyclable water now, just for.
you don't have to, but there is a whole sustainability aspect of
Yeah.
it. So, do you want to look at sustainability? So, looking at some preliminary information,
Yeah.
it can cost $100,000, $150,000 extra to do recyclable water or whatnot.
Okay.
But it depends on what type of system you're going with, and
Okay.
how big your structure was. And that's where you would actually, if you were going down this road and you set aside, say, 200,000, or you set aside, say, an engineer to actually design through the features, design it, here's what the cost would be. Because right now it's the splash pad, and that's what Stratford struggled with. It depends a lot on your design, depends a lot on your features. They wanted to do recyclable water, but it was felt it was too expensive at the time.
Yeah.
So right now, today, 2020, you don't have to do recyclable water?
They didn't in 2000. Theirs was open in 2019, I believe, over there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
they're
been a
very-
couple of years anyway.
18 was it?
And they're a very sustainable community too.
So
Yeah.
where are we looking to put, if this ever
No,
goes through?
no, I was just wanting to get the numbers, because we had a discussion about the numbers. So Frank, just quickly, it's $250,000, and that's not reusable water, that's not,
That's what their system is over there,
Okay.
not reused water. So
Okay.
we're still in the process of collecting more information.
Okay,
It
thank you.
has been tough to actually collect some of this information. We're going to websites. A lot of the actual, when you go onto the, just people that sell these systems, they call them for a quote kind of thing. So we're sort of in that process right
So
now.
I assume, Frank, the footprints are different in different designs?
The footprints are very different, and that's the biggest thing. And I'm going to be calling over to the city of St. John just to see what theirs included in their design. Some of theirs were put in, some of them were more elaborate, and they built 3 of them. So how much, what's the small one cost? What's the more elaborate one, to get an idea?
You're just looking for a small one.
no, you know what, Frank, thank you for that, and you're gonna
Oh,
get
no.
some more information.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
working on it. And once I have this information done, it'll be a report that I will
And
actually
and it
be
will
able
be,
to.
yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much.
All right. Moving on to reports. Item A, request from,
Well, you didn't bring up what I requested there,
Oh, right,
that's down further, isn't it?
no,
Business.
that's in the first part,
it's the first part.
basketball nets at Skyview Park and possible flower bed. I put it under 5C and D.
Business.
No, that'd be under new business.
Is it?
Yeah, it'd be under new business because
Yeah.
it wasn't on the agenda.
Yeah,
Comes
that's
under
right. It's under new
Oh, I'm
business.
sorry, Jack, it was, yes.
You okay, Kevin?
I'm good, are you okay, Mitch?
Okay,
Just try to back you, Kevin.
all right. Going back to the agenda. Reports. A, request from Discover Charlottetown. So this request to host a summer music series at Confederation Landing Park. So this actual request is coming from Discover Charlottetown, as I understand it.
Yes.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, now, just before we go any further, there's a board, Discover Charlottetown, isn't there?
Yes?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's on the board?
Ben Murphy,
Who else?
Heidi Zinn was in here last week with our presentation with
Jeff
economic
Simmons.
development, and she
who
explained
else?
everybody's on it.
What's the matter?
I'm just trying to understand.
No, but what's the matter? Who's on the board?
I don't know, I'm just trying to understand. I thought it was a particular businessman, but it's Discover Charlottetown that's carrying the...
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, Frank, if I read your report,
Correct.
you're recommending?
So initially, just so you can explain a little more, because initially when it came in as a concert series, and it was it felt like a lot larger event. It really did, and we had real concerns with how we would actually be able to support that, additional garbage cans, picnic tables, all that kind of stuff. If they were trying to split up the park, have this zone for this group, this zone for this group. If people were coming to the park, they wouldn't be able to just walk through it and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So after following up with Heidi, and I believe Heidi had also spoken with Chief Public Health because they were having concerns as well. It was more or less, it was sort of more or less explained that this is going to be a less formal. It's more of background music for the park, and that people will walk through it, walk around it. We're not going to be setting up any additional picnic tables. People will be encouraged if they're coming into this event to just sit and bring their own lawn chair or whatnot. They had indicated here that there's going to be one staff person there to set up the music. And then they'll also put out some sanitizing for hand washing and whatnot, and monitor the site. And social distancing signs they will have place, but we also have some as well. We might look at putting a few additional ones if this was approved. Also, their communication with Chief Public Health was that they're going to be monitoring as well, and that if any issues are identified, any complaints received, that they'll be prepared to make the necessary changes.
So they're just looking to do, because when I first heard this, like you, I heard it was going to be taking the whole part.
Yeah,
so this
it
is
was
kind of background music for over around Peaks Key and stuff like that.
It's, well, for the whole area, so it's not just, that's the whole thing, I think people thought it was initially, it was just for Peaks Key. It's for all the businesses down at that area, kind of thing, so, and also including Founders Hall area, so the market over there, so they're gonna have some performances in there as well. So it's for everyone that's sort of down in that area. Normally, there is a lot of activity.
But I'm just visualizing that they're going to be set up in the stage area, Confederation Land.
Yeah, in the middle, yeah, that's where they're set up, yeah, correct.
So I assume the volume's not going to be too loud.
So yeah, and that was the biggest concern, because that was the local councillor has the concern from the residents, and that's with my concern as well. And they said that they're going to be extremely mindful of the residents in the area, and it's only a single or dual acoustic musicians. So it's not like live music kind of thing, or not live music. It's not loud music. But I think it's also providing an opportunity for these artists, these musicians, to have a place to play as well, because I think those are limited this year as well. It was more or less, we looked at it that it's like, okay, let's try it on a trial basis, and if we have any concerns, I've been assured that we call down, they're going to address them. They're also going to be working very closely with Chief Public Health. If any concerns are brought to their attention, that they're going to be working with them as well. And if we find that it's, if we found that it was going for a week and there were some problems, maybe it was needed to reduce one of the time slots or reduce the amount of days to go, they're willing to work with that. They also indicated if there's other events that are booked at the park are going to be taking place during the park, they would give up their time,
Right.
not a performance.
Mr. Chair, point of order. Mr. Chair, we discussed this.
What's the point of order?
I'm getting right to it now. On July 7th, this was at Economic Development.
Yes.
This was under a closed session. Summer Concert Series, Confederation Land. Why did you put it in the open session, sir? The reason I'm asking, because, Kevin, you were at the meeting, Councilor Rivard, it was closed. Is there a reason we put it in the, we had this discussion.
There's no reason why. I think the other.
I know,
issue was-
I'm just asking.
Okay,
Yeah,
the other issue
What
was,
section of 119 would you put under a closed session?
Well, I don't know. Why was it under closed session for,
I can't explain why.
you were at the meeting?
Yeah, I was at the meeting, but I'm not the chair of that committee, plus I'm not the staff person. I think that had to do with funding.
If it's a dollar issue?
Yeah, it was a
it'll be
dollar
closed.
issue.
It's
Yeah,
not
so
not
this-
supposed to be.
That's right. So this isn't a dollar.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
it is.
Frank,
And
So,
you're the
Your
staff
Worship,
person?
Your Worship, yes, Your Worship. So this is just a request to use a facility.
No money.
And this is just
No
use
money.
facility.
It wouldn't
So
be in a closed
the only reason why that we're bringing this to you folks is because normally if it's a one-time booking or a two-day booking or that kind of thing, there's no issues. But because this is this request is outside the norm, it's a normal request for books and involves extended period of time at Confederation Landing,
Yeah.
it was deemed that we need to bring this to committee for support. But it does not fall under for a closed session.
Section 119.
Correct.
That's all. That was my point of order. Thank you, Frank.
It's just a question. You don't have to refer to his point. Well, it can just be a question. But nonetheless.
I want to use procedural.
What's that?
Proper procedure, sir.
Did it first time.
What did you say, Frank?
I said nothing. I was just going to ask I guess I'd like to maybe ask a question of the local councillor.
So
if there's any concern.
Before I turn it over to Councilor Lana, there was discussions, I guess, Discover Charlottetown had with Chief Medical Officer or her department?
That's in the notes.
It's in the
That's
background.
okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a copy of that correspondence?
It's in your
It's in the
back.
background.
It's in the background?
Yeah. CPHO is Chief Public Health Office.
Where's that?
It's in there.
Second last
Yeah,
page.
no, it's referenced.
Second last page.
Councilor Tweedle, I do actually have an email from them, but it's between.
But it's not in the package.
No, it's not.
Okay, so you
it's
do
between.
have-
Do you want me to read it?
No. I'm talking about the actual correspondence from that office. I know it's referenced in there, Terry, but I'm talking about the actual correspondence, and you do have that.
I have one email indicating that Chief Public Health has given the okay for this event to proceed, and what the requirements
Yeah.
they
And that was signed?
It's an email, so
Okay,
it's
all right.
yeah. Just,
Okay, so having said that,
It's usually, Chair.
Yeah.
It's usually, as long as you have an operational plan,
yeah,
and it's not whether it's approved or not approved, it's just long, if you have an operational plan. And that's why he referred, they'll be down to check on it to make sure it's being followed. But
Okay.
they would run their operational plan by them.
okay. Now, having said that, Frank, it's acoustics, but it will be, I mean, there's gonna be sound, obviously, and it's gonna be plugged in. And it's gonna go 7 days a week, right?
that is what they were asking.
7
for,
days a
2 to
week,
4 and-
afternoon and evenings, right?
2 to 4 and 6 day, correct?
Okay,
And I just want to read the last sentence here.
Yeah.
Just as Chief Public Health Officer also noted that they will monitor this event, the location, and if any issues are identified or if complaints are received, please be prepared to make the necessary changes.
okay, all right, okay. Councilor Yanko?
Some of the concerns were, I mean, that Frank, you've addressed, thank you very much for that. And it wasn't initially, it was very much sounded like a 2014, 2017 series, which concerned me for the residents of Ward 1. They've already struggled with the noise and the, with other concerts there. But if it's passive entertainment and it's not gonna stop the neighborhood from going in with their dogs and sitting in there, there's not gonna be some all of a sudden security and fences up that, oh, you can't come in during this time. And then the only other thing I wonder is, there are others down there that are already doing their own concert series on the floating docks.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how we're gonna manage that music, because it's the exact same times as this. Because I know that if you go on to their website or their Facebook page, you can see their series of music that's happening this summer. I'm just
On the
wondering-
floating dock?
Yeah, on the
Yeah.
floating dock. I just wondered.
So
if
who would
it's
have, who would have approved that?
They didn't ask for any money, so they probably just did it on their own and
Yeah.
probably got
Sort
their
of.
approval through. There is something on their Facebook page that says approved by, in conjunction with the chief public health officer.
And when we're talking floating dock, we better clarify, that's the floating food dock down in the waterfront.
Yes, right.
Not the one in Cherry Park.
Yeah.
Listen,
There's no band out there yet?
But that's sort of competing against each other then, Lana, is what you're
Well,
saying,
yeah,
right?
and I
Have to
just
get
wanted
brain
to
service
make a
in.
discussion around with
Huh?
each of these groups, that they were going to maybe one wasn't going to have it anymore, if they were all just going to have one.
Yeah, and maybe they're all going to be on that stage.
Yeah, well, I'm just curious whether or not they had that conversation with the floating restaurants.
And I would think that would be up to downtown Charlotte or Discover Charlotte.
Well, I think you raise a good point, I really do.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you, and I mentioned to the council about the entrepreneurs down in the floating food dock. I mean, they've got a nice thing going down there, and they've really taken the initiative. They haven't come to City Hall for anything, and they provide their own resources, they've taken the initiative.
So that begs the question,
Yeah.
if they have the music there now,
Yeah,
then why do we need this?
well, that's a good,
And
It's a good
maybe
question.
Discover Charlotte has already had that conversation with them, and maybe they're going to stop their music, but
I don't see
that's
it.
whereas, you're right when you say that's Discover Charlottetown for them to figure out, but if it's two sets of noise, then it's the residents that are going to be calling me to complain about two sets of noise at one time.
Well, there shouldn't be two concerts going on at the same time either.
No,
But-
and maybe they've
I
already
mean, like the
figured
floating
that
food
out.
dock.
That's what I heard in the, sorry.
No, if there's people already playing at the floating food dock, we'll call it.
Yes,
She'll
that's
get
what it is.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you want to have another concert just next door to them, really, right?
Yeah.
just 100 yards away.
Yeah, like, I mean, doesn't see much point in having
Well, I
one
think-
play off the other.
Other years, there was always entertainment, as you know, down at Peak City.
Yes,
that's
So
right.
I think for social distancing and so on, it was best to do it on the food dock.
Right.
No.
So that's kind of working, so whether, and I would assume, and maybe I'm wrong to assume, but I would assume that Discover Charlottetown, looking for this, would be talking to those artists.
But the
But you're
reason,
right, there's going to be
So there's gonna be
competing music, if you will.
Exactly.
Because
So-
I think this one is in replacement to the concert series that's normally done.
Yeah, Liam has.
Yeah, that's in the
Yeah.
background here, and why they're going to the larger area because of physical distance. It's right in the, it says, due to the social distancing requirements and potential capacity issues, this small grass area was deemed to be unsuitable. So they want to move it to a large.
No, but what we're saying is they already did that by moving it to the floating dock.
No, floating docks is not part of the peaks.
No.
Yeah.
It's two different
It's right
things.
there.
Yeah, but they're not, they're two separate
Two
entities.
different entrepreneurs.
Right, but the idea of the music on the food dock was
Yeah.
to replace what they were.
No.
Harry, the business community, and that's what you can refer to them, on the floating food dock.
Yeah.
Right, that's their own initiative. That has nothing to
do
do
with peaks.
what has taken place traditionally.
And this might clarify, I was
In
just
front
on
of
their
cows,
website.
in front of cows, right? That's always been there.
Yeah.
I mean, Dino Dogsford
Yeah.
will be playing and
Peaks
other-
Wharf
And I know
Summer.
these guys took it on their own, but I mean,
They took it, but that wasn't in replacement to what was, Liam was very instrumental. in
but
the
what I'm saying is
concert series.
if Councilor Ramsey is saying
Yeah.
it's the same hours,
That's true.
Not necessarily.
I just actually checked on the Nimrod's Facebook page, so they've obviously altered it because they're not starting until 9.
so they have been working with
So
them,
they
okay.
must
Oh,
have.
they'll definitely work
Yeah.
in collaboration.
Which they have to,
Clearly
they have to,
so
really.
that might answer the
Had two,
question.
Well,
Yeah.
can we get a clarification on that too,
So-
just to follow up?
Frank's got it.
Yeah, so my understanding is just that Discover Charlottetown, the reason why they're coordinating this as well is, put this in, so it can be coordinated as well in this area. What they're trying to do is actually have it, make more of an ambiance in the area. It is, anyone that walks down now to Confederation Landing and that whole area, it is not your normal, there's not your number of people around. It just feels, doesn't feel
right.
the same, because it's usually, you got your
Lots of people.
visitors
Round
from
the
your
park.
boats, your ships, and those kind
But I
of
think
things.
our concerns, I think she just answered them.
Yes,
I
yeah.
think so too.
They're working together, so that makes
Cows
sense.
ice cream, enjoying the
I'm
cows.
So
gonna check it with
I'm
Heidi for
okay
sure,
with
though,
it.
Frank.
French fries from Chip Factory.
Frank?
I'm okay with it. Right.
I'm check with Heidi for sure to make sure she's
Yes.
working both.
I'm gonna have to
You
go
check
there,
that.
guys, pretty soon.
Well, can you hang around? You gotta go, Liam.
Well, I'm looking at 1:15, so another few minutes.
Okay, so, are you okay?
Yeah, I think I like that, Frank, that as long as you have kind of let them know that if there is any kickback with the residents and it turns into something that it isn't, that we can be respectful of the residents to ensure that it is what they say it's going to be.
Going to be, and so that's what I'm saying on a trial basis. So we will say, okay, we're going to try this. It's going to be, I'll be responding in writing. There'll be a letter indicating some of the stipulations with regards that are noted here.
Yeah.
And if we do have issues and concerns, we feel that it's not working out,
Yeah.
then we will say, okay, no, we're going to have to either reduce it or suspend it, and it'll be brought back here. As well, if Chief Public Health has any concerns or issues that are brought to our attention, then they'll have to be addressed as well.
And Mr. Chair, I have full confidence in the Parks and Recreation Department to monitor it closely because working with Liam and working with the business owners, is it Councillor Tweel? On the floating food dock, that there will be cooperation. And Heidi, it's Heidi's then heading up for the Discover Charlottetown group? Great. So what do you need? Do you need a resolution?
Well, I guess we're gonna need a motion.
I just need a motion to indicate that the committee supports it.
Can I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
Is there a cost that Discover Charlottetown has to pay to use the landing park? Like usually there's a small fee.
It is, yeah, it's a.
It's in the event strategy, the event form.
This is set up as a nonprofit, it'd be $25, I think, so it's like, it's nominal.
Right.
But this is set up this is a little different, this is what's going on here right now, because it is seen as more or less creating ambiance for the area and that kind of thing. I don't anticipate there's going to be any additional costs for us because or maybe nominal, maybe a bit of extra garbage pickup. It's not going to be us actually providing them with picnic tables, garbage, a whole bunch of garbage cans.
Yeah, we're not doing that, right?
No, it's just they're just
They'll
going
do
in,
it.
they're
Yeah,
wanting
there's
permission.
no fences or anything going
Yeah,
on.
they're wanting permission, so before there'd be a lot more costs with these other events.
Discover
associated with it.
Charlottetown,
So
we've overseen it.
we can look at that, but it would be a nominal fee. They pay an event fee of, I think it's $25. They're set up as a nonprofit.
25 per day.
I'd have to look to see. Normally it's per event. So whether we will charge, I guess I didn't even look at the actual, the fee.
Pretty good deal.
I didn't even look at the fee. Well, it's usually non-profits that are
Yeah.
using the parks and whatnot.
Right.
Any larger events, there is a fee structure for those, and then there's also a fee structure for private.
Frank, just one final point. Are they looking at the big tent, or is this going to be open?
They're just using the existing
Yeah, there's no tent.
infrastructure. Just using the existing.
With the gazebo there, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
It's all open.
Great. And you know what? It's really promoting physical distancing, right? That's the purpose of it.
That was the biggest thing.
And that's why the CPHO is saying, we give the green light on it, correct?
Correct, as long as.
It's in the background. Thank you. Thank you very much, Frank.
Okay.
Okay.
Job well done.
Can I just bring up an issue here?
Yeah.
I just want to go back to, because I do have to leave in about 5
Yeah, sure.
minutes. But I just want to go back, when we were talking about the parks and the security, and I see in the back of our report here, they have, they have been, they got it documented, the parks they're at, when they're at, and the incidents that they dealt with, and it talks about smoking in the park area, warrant during she complied, unattended
What do you got
vehicles.
Okay.
Probably some issues you wanted to talk to me after the session. They
Yeah.
removed them from the park.
Yeah.
Spotted a group of teens. Like, it looks like they're doing what we asked them to do.
Yeah. Frank, or Terry, okay, we'll get back to that. Terry,
But anyway,
I want to, just before we go, I just want to move, we'll take a motion, and then I want to move in camera because I need to hear from one item.
Okay.
Okay, so, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Kevin, move by
I'll second
Kevin.
it, yeah.
Move. All in favor? You okay, Lana?
Oh, yes, I'm not allowed
Okay.
to vote.
No, it doesn't matter, no, but you're okay with what we're doing here.
Are you
Okay,
satisfied
great.
with the answers that
Okay,
you
I
got?
want to go in camera,
Yes,
okay.
yeah, as long as it's, you know.
Yeah, okay, section,
Yeah.
whatever it's called, to go in camera,
119.1 subsection E.
okay? Yeah, I want to go to closed session real quick, and then we'll go back into the open after. I want to deal with one item while Terry's still here.
Do you want me to in-stream right now?
Pardon?
In-stream now?
Yes. Okay. Can we close the doors, please?